Welcome to another review here on Ray Round Who Does Music, where today we're looking at the BTS album that blew me away, Wings. I followed BTS for a little while, as I'm sure you may have noticed me mention them several times throughout this string of 4 videos in the 2-day K-pop events, and that I'm recording right in a row, all next to each other. And while the new Love Yourself, Her album is pretty okay, this album takes that one and just tells it to go fuck itself, essentially. First and foremost, I want to acknowledge the fact that all 7 members get a solo on this album. Also, I'm just going to skip the whole intro, this is who BTS thing, etc. is, because if I did this correctly, Love Yourself, Her goes up before this. If not, then Google BTS, you'll figure out who they are, but for now, sorry, I just drank like 2 Arizona teas, so I'm extremely hyper. So each one of the 7 members here in the BTS crew gets a solo, and that was one of the reasons that I was so behind this album and just waiting for it to come out when it was announced. Because the sheer fact that not only was my favorite member J-Hope getting a solo here, but so were my 2 other favorite members, Rap Monster and Suga, who were my favorite at the time, and nowadays it's plain J-Hope. There's nobody who can beat J-Hope. But essentially that's something that built my hype up for this album up to the clouds. But I found it surprising that with each of them getting their opportunity to do a solo, not everyone shined as bright as I had hoped initially. Jimin and Jungkook took their chance and ran with it, with their own versions that took off in both streams and attention in general. If you look on most websites, those are 2 of the more popular ones out of all 7 of the solos. And I think they took their time putting out the lyricism and the beats and everything for that, and it paid off really well. Then you had Suga and Rap Monster, who I was actually more hyped than my boy J-Hope, because Rap Monster and Suga, to me, always just had the more definitive, more powerful verses over time as I listened to the group. As they grew and with some of their newer music, they just, more often than not, took the torch above everyone else usually. I love their solos actually, but comparably against the others, they were just very lackluster. Suga gets very emotional and even powerful until the latter half of his solo, and it's one of the strongest moments on the entire 15 album track. But with heavier cuts like Jimin's Begin or Jin's Awake, throwing the emotion out there can only get you so far out on this release. The solos for me were very divisive, but when it comes to the bulk on Wings, I found a lot more good to contrast with the slight bumps and bad. While the album itself focuses on themes of mental health and empowerment and rising up where you formerly would have gotten beaten down and taken apart, the song that comes right after the solos, Lost, hits you with a blend of EDM and dance hip-hop. And right after that, you have a cipher that elevates the energy being brought out on the table. Everything from all those solos, all the good and the bad, comes together for the cipher to actually show what each of these members can do and where they flourish. I think I got sneezed. Good lord. And the influence from so many similar but different areas, like, again, the dance hip-hop, the J-pop, the R&B, it's all present here. 21st Century Girls, even towards the end of the record, is a song that shows you exactly what BTS is best at. A fast-hitting rap on top of a track that fits perfectly no matter what audience you could put it in front of. This could be something that you could put on back in the days when they were just getting started as a group and just getting ready, getting pumped and training for their first show. And at the same time, it's a type of song that you could slide in with their upcoming American Music Awards performance. It's something that just fits so well in every spectrum and area of their musical discography so far that it's a song that withstands the test of time for them. The storytelling aspect of BTS albums is always the most interesting part, beyond the music even at times, and with the visual aesthetic and onstage performances with Wings and the album cycle and the tour that came with it, you get that in spades. A very specific set of songs were dedicated to telling the cinematic and music video story, but every song here can be backtracked and traced by their own lines to the source material of the concept here. And it doesn't just stop with the source of Wings. There's a follow-up extension to the album entitled You Never Walk Alone, featuring 3 new songs and a remake of the ending song from the original album. Spring Day and Not Today tell their own separate but similar story in corresponding music videos, and the overall idea just connects back to Wings, empowerment, mental health, rising up where you formerly were getting knocked down. It's an extension that's not only worthwhile to check out, but it's worth checking out even over some of the songs, those being, unfortunately, the lower solos on the list that I noted before. With the few flaws that BTS has throughout this album, they take every flaw and in that place have 2 more positive moments here. I'm happy to say that not only is this one of the best albums of 2016 without a doubt, but also my personal favorite K-pop album of all time, up against releases in the discographies of 17, G-Dragon, Big Bang, Girls' Generation. I'm not a big K-pop fan, but this album is honestly one of my favorite albums currently at this time. It might even break my top 10 if I were to make a list. But with all of this said, I would like to note that I will be doing my best to eventually personally analyze and review the School Trilogy. Those being Oh Rule 2/8, School Love Affair, and Too Cool for School, I believe. They're all connected, they're all in a trilogy, so I figured it'd be better to just put them all together instead of doing them as separate entities. But right now I'm going to be leaving Wings with I believe I'm so sorry. The highest score I've given a K-pop album in this 4-video break here with a 9 out of 10. I cannot stress you enough, I'm not leaving one song down in the description below, I'm leaving a playlist to the entire album, because you need to sit down and listen to this. If you're a K-pop fan, if you're a BTS fan and you somehow haven't listened to it, even if you've listened to the album before, this is something you need to re-listen to and just get absorbed into. But with all that said, and me getting progressively sicker as I record more and more of these videos, I don't know what the order is going to be, but currently I'm at my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the 8th video I've recorded in a row. So I'm going to leave this, again, 9 out of 10. I love this album with a passion. It's so expertly put together, from the music to the lyrics, and with those few slip-ups, they managed to capitalize on what they do best. So if you enjoyed my album review and wanted to agree with it or disagree with it, go down in the comment section below. And don't forget to like or dislike, subscribe or unsubscribe. I'll see you in the next video.